gave the mayor on the, he's coming back.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, we will reconvene the Board of Finance budget hearing for the year 2017-2018 budget. Today is February 8th, 2017, approximately 6:30 p.m. And we are going to just reorder the agenda slightly and start with Law Department 4131 and 4132, unless any members of the board have an objection. So we'll reorder. I'm actually going to recuse myself on those two matters because my partner is with the Law Department. Dispatch.
Okay.
Good evening. I apologize for my casual dress. Just finished an old man basketball game, and I'm off to coach a 8th grade travel basketball team, so if you could disregard sweats in the sweat.
Oh, I was wondering what that was.
Yes.
Yes.
There's really no change this year other than the contractual wage adjustments that are reflected in the budgeted positions. From last year, we've held the line, so not much to present in terms of, there are no more asks other than what we've asked for last year and the year before.
I actually don't have any questions. Do you, Ron?
No.
Yeah, no. Okay, we can move on then. The Law Department to the Ethics Commission, 4132.
It also falls
Right.
under my auspices and similar to the law department, the budget that we presented is identical to the year prior.
Right. Anything?
Thank you, Mr.
Get that out of
Dispatcher.
there very quick.
Yes,
Take care, Joe.
thank you, sir.
Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Joe. Okay, item 4159, Veteran Ceremony Parade Commission.
33.
How are you?
Fine. Oh,
I think most of you have been here before us previously, and just for your information, you're welcome to provide a statement if you'd like before, as part of your presentation, or you can simply be there if we have any questions.
Mr. Chairman?
Mayor Blake?
Just looking at the budget for the Veteran Ceremony and Parade Commission, obviously, if you look, the majority of the funds are for other supplies and charges, those are for the flags. And our 3 cemeteries. I don't know what, that's 90% of what.
yeah, right.
Any questions from the board?
Do you have any meetings, Tom?
Oh, yes.
You do, okay. So you have secretarial meeting,
Yes, I have a recording secretary.
okay,
And we have our meetings in the second Monday of every,
okay.
well, Memorial.
That's the only question I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your
Thank you.
work. Finance Department, 4210.
Oh, we've got all night to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to introduce some members of the Finance Department that come out tonight. We have our new treasurer. I'd like to introduce you to Michael Antonicelli.
Welcome.
Welcome. And we have Dan Thomas, our city assessor. You all also know Ariane Swift, our city accountant, and Fred Bialka, our purchasing agent.
Very good.
I will add that we also have a new tax collector who
yeah.
was recently appointed, and her name is Mary Ann Klinga, and she will start on February 20th or 21st.
Okay.
And so I will just say a few words regarding our department's budget. We have said in the past, as you know, it's a very lean budget, and we've tried to do our best to trim it a little bit when we could. You can see compared to last year's request, the primary increase is in regular wages for the contractual wage increases, but for the most part, the budget is flat or slightly lower. I respectfully ask your support for this amount. We are concerned about the revaluation operations line item. As you recall, in prior years, we had made gradual reductions from the original request, and I will have to say that as of today, for the first time, I think, in the history of having that Fund 40 reserve account, it is now depleted. So we've never been in that position. We got hit with higher than normal expenses here. One item that was unforeseen related to the server, I believe, Dan, that helps, well, that is a primary support for the software that the assessor's office uses. And so we really have depleted that account. In past, you've asked me about the balance, and we've had a bit of a cushion there, but, you know, we've cut it over several years, and unfortunately, we're down to nearly zero at this point. So it's important that we continue to fund that under reval operations. We've spoke a lot over the past year about the financial system HR software conversion project in the last meeting we had for the bonding, so we are about to embark on that, and we're looking forward to implementing it. It'll be a huge project, impacting not only finance but the whole city. And it is also a revaluation year, so if you have any questions regarding the dam list or that process, Dan is here. An area Mike and Fred as well are here. We're all here to answer any questions you might have. And unless anyone has any other opening comments, I'll open it up to questions.
No?
Thank you.
Peter, you said the server down, or what's the story on that?
Yeah, Dan, would you like to?
Right.
comment on that?
Yeah, well, we got wind from MIS that it was severely compromised, I would say. And so in order to, I guess, secure, in case it did crash, it did not crash, but it threatens to, almost on a weekly basis. And so they did some tweaking, but we felt it necessary, Gene and I, to go ahead and purchase the server to the tune of about $12,500. And that's the difference in the reval budget. If we had that amount, we wouldn't be in the desperate situation that we're in, but I think through some maneuvers that we're gonna be okay, or certainly close to it.
Is that area, your area involved with the whole new system that's coming in? That we're just bonding for?
No,
Not at all?
that not at all, no. That's, his system is separate from
Oh,
our
it's
system.
separate, okay. And on your, you're completely computerized on the assessor, all the information for the properties and everything else is all computerized?
Yeah,
Now, what does a deputy assessor do?
but we have three.
Yeah, right.
So one is in charge of personal property, one is in charge of motor vehicles, and one assists on the reevaluation, and then all three, or all four of us do field work for building permits, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So all four of us are involved in that, and then they each have their own function. I oversee administrative as well as the reassessment. And I put my finger in the personal property pie as well. The motor vehicle deputy is very competent and oversees that pretty much on through.
Are they cross-trained?
To a degree, yes. We're working on improving.
Okay, Peter, on the regular wages, that's an increase of 94,716, did I figure that right? From the projected of 2016-17 to the current recommended? Am I reading that right?
You're looking at page 37?
Yeah, I'm sorry, right,
Okay.
your top line, with regular wages.
Yes, and what that is the contractual wage increase, the 2.5% wage increase that went into effect.
Mhm.
So that is the reason for the increase and any applicable step increases. But I think we only had one step increase, so that.
Total
accounts for
amount
the
to the
increase.
94,000.
Yes.
Okay. In printing and binding, we went up $6,000. Do we have something special going on there?
Part of that would be for the grand list. We almost double our projection there. The one vendor that we used passed, and so, and there's not a lot of vendors that do the grand list. The grand list calls for a special kind of paper, et cetera, and binding, et cetera, and so it's a fairly expensive process, and we anticipate those costs to increase significantly.
And that's every year?
No, not every year, but this one time going out to find another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm all set in that area.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions?
Thanks.
Thank you. Board of Assessment Appeals, get up. That's page 4143. What do you think that's primarily? Secretary.
That went down significantly. Obviously, we don't anticipate as much activity in 17-18 fiscal year as we do this year. This past year was the increase.
Have you seen a lot of appeals this go around this month?
Well, we would qualify that by, in the context of the other two reassessments that I've been in charge of, and under that light, no.
No, that's right.
About half, actually, of it. If you recall, the assessments went down from 2006 to 2011 to the tune of about 15%. And during that reassessment, we had 800 appeals. And then usually you get about half for the Board of Assessment Appeals. And right now, we barely topped 400 for this reassessment, and we're in our last week of hearings there. So,
Okay. I'm all set there.
All right, thank you.
well,
Thanks, Dan.
4215 MIS. 39.
Good evening, hello.
Hello.
Jean Wozek, I'm the MIS coordinator. I think most of you know me, I know. This budget is pretty much status quo with the exception, almost as usual with the software and maintenance. That went up considerably. We had a piece of equipment that we purchased back in 2000. It went off warranty. It was a 5-year contract that we had, and it went off warranty, which is our backup system. It is a critical piece of equipment that we have actually two. This was purchased back in, let's see, where is it? Anyway, it came off warranty in, 5 years, so obviously this is going to expire mid-year, probably around June of 2018, I'm sorry. So, we're preparing for it to go off of warranty mid-year. So it just misses the 2019 fiscal year. So, but this system we purchased to back up both, all of the networks, police, fire, and city. We have a piece of equipment here, we have a piece of equipment at police. Those systems back up all of our servers and equipment, and then they replicate themselves across for redundancy, so that if anything should happen to one unit, the other unit's up and running, and vice versa. And then if anything should happen to the room, same thing, we have redundancy. So we use that system quite extensively. It's also all electronic, so there's no tapes involved anymore, so we don't have to rely on tape backups and tape restores, which are susceptible to damage, and so now it's all electronic, it's all done through the computer from wherever we are in the network and outside the network. So that's what the increase is there.
53,000?
The total was, I have it detailed. Okay, the backup went up. Well, there's multiple items,
Mhm.
but the Barracuda, backup is a $31,800 line item. We are still, so there are other line items that went up.
Mhm.
We have our annual contracts that go up every year. We're still on New World, so as of now, we're on the New World system, so we have to pay maintenance for New World until we cut over to the new system. So we're contractually obligated for that, so that goes up 10%, so that went up to 66. So it all comes back to the total of 279,707. So I can go down the list as far as what each one, some went up 5%, some went up 10%, most of which are contractual. We also added new services this year. We added Dropbox, which is a $4,500 annual fee. We added Adobe Enterprise, which is again $4,500. Let's see. And Vision Appraisal, that's the system that supports the assessors that we just spoke about.
Mhm.
That went up about 1,000. So each one creeped up a bit, but obviously the big nut was the Verifone backup updates. So it is a critical part of our system.
Now, in the world, we don't get a refund when you transfer over?
Well, it all depends on timing. We should have something, but it all depends on when we cut over, but we'll negotiate that and we'll do what we can. I'll work with Peter on.
The world is part of the new system too, isn't it? Or no?
New World is one of the products owned by Tyler
Right.
Technologies. Tyler Technologies owns Munis and New
New
World.
World, right.
So New World used to be a separate company.
Right.
They absorbed that, and now they call their product New World,
Mhm.
rather than being a separate company. So, yeah, so we're still on that, but we're contractually obligated. That hits in July. So we usually we try to get most of our contracts paid early in the year,
Mhm.
and that one hits first thing. Most of the big ones hit early in the July
Okay.
timeframe. So we'll certainly discuss with them, depending on timing. Obviously, we're still in the negotiation process. I believe you said this morning it was in legal.
Yes, the contract is in city attorney's office for legal review. So
Okay.
once that is completed and we get Board of Alderman approval, we'll be able to deal with Tyler directly on the project.
So so depending on timing, yes, we may get some retroactive refunds on that. There's other products that we're using that are directly involved in our day-to-day financial systems, like our laser printing, which will be absorbed. That's a fairly small item. That's about $3,700 a year, so that'll go away. The document management, that's about $7,500, but that will come later, so that may go away. So there's some line items in here, depending on timing, that may not actually come to fruition. They may not actually get paid, depending on the timing. Do you
Okay.
know what I'm saying? When we roll out the system, say we roll out the system, we start rolling it out in July of this year, for
Mhm.
instance, and we're already on board, when these invoices come into play, or when we're due for renewal, we could theoretically cancel those services. But it all depends on timing.
Mhm.
Do you
I
understand?
got you.
Okay. So some of these charges are in there in anticipation of worst-case scenario.
Yeah.
But I'll certainly work with Peter on timing, and when we can cancel those services and whatnot,
Okay.
okay? I can give you more detail if you'd like. I can send
No,
it to
that's
you.
cool.
Okay. All right. But that's the big one, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Any further questions?
No, I'm all set, Sally.
Okay, thank you so much.
Have a good night.
You too.
Mayor's office, 4121, page 17. Mr. Mayor, anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, the budget that's before you is an almost identical budget to the previous fiscal year. In fact, I think it is identical, so there is a status quo budget, no adjustments. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer those. From a broader perspective, though, Peter and I received some terrible news. It was like a punch to the gut, at least in my opinion. The governor came out with his budget today, and Milford stands to lose $17 million if you include the $11 million loss in grants, and then the additional $5.5–6 million contribution that we're gonna have to pay, or municipalities will now have to pay, as opposed to the state. So it is a huge nut to absorb. I mean, untenable. It is something that we are gonna be advocating for, line across the train tracks so that this doesn't happen, so that this does not go through. But it is something that really shook us up, and I know that we're gonna be pushing back and working with our state delegation for the rest of the legislative session to make sure that this is dead on arrival.
This is mainly on the city budget, not on the school end of it, right?
It's $11 million. Our entire ECS budget, education cost sharing budget,
Right.
was reduced to 0.
That's 11. 11 million?
That's 11 million of it was attributable to our education cost sharing budget, and that went down to $0. And then, again, the state for the first time is proposing, or the governor is proposing, that the pension, or at least a portion of the pension, that municipalities bear a burden of, I think about a third share. And in Milford, that amounts to, was it about $5.5–6 million?
Yeah, historically, the state has contributed 100% of the contribution to the state teachers' retirement funds system. And we record that as, on our books as state grant revenue, but it's an in and out. It's an expenditure and then revenue, so the net result is 0. But the bottom line is that the state historically has contributed that amount. And now Governor Malloy has proposed that cities and towns share in that funding, and he has asked cities and towns to contribute a significant portion of that contribution now for next year's budget.
Okay, under the teachers, do they pay, the teachers pay anything into their pension?
Yes.
They do, okay. Secondly, he was basing that on Husky. Husky was involved in the computation of the amount of money we're gonna get. Do we have any idea how many children are under Husky in this city?
In Milford,
It's gotta be very low.
we can get the formula, but again, they scrapped the old formula and arriving at their new calculations. In some towns,
Is the ECS based on that Husky business?
they changed the grant formulas so that it's based on different criteria. And again, some of that criteria was indeed outdated and outmoded, but the new criteria, one, at this point, we don't know what, the report just came out today, the governor's budget was just released this afternoon. We don't know all the criteria that went into this new formula. This is still very fresh. The other thing is, there are some municipalities that have benefited greatly from this budget. Hartford, they got a $50 million increase. Again, Milford is pegged for a $17 million hit. So some towns, it kind of has created some winners and some losers, but Milford, I think, was just about the biggest lose. I shouldn't say that, but we took the biggest hit in the state.
Right.
Not good.
Not at all. How much do we have in the Fund 40 account?
Not enough.
And part of it is, I think they targeted towns that have been prudent and stable.
Exactly.
And have done the right thing, and they've taken a look at those towns' piggy banks to see which towns could absorb it. And, you know, this is beyond our ability to absorb without, you know, drastic adjustments. So this is really gonna cripple the city of Milford, which is why we're gonna throw everything at making sure that this doesn't go anywhere.
What is the Senate is the majority Republican?
The Senate's evenly split, yeah.
50-50.
50-50.
And there are some special elections, but
when I saw what he was contemplating and computations, I said, it still goes back to the cities again. I hope they work very hard.
Well, thank you for the update,
Thanks,
Mr.
I
Mayor.
appreciate it, Mr. Mayor. Well, let's see, wait a minute, let's start here then.
Not much there.
Oh, not enough there? Okay.
If there's no further questions, general expenses, 4122, page 19.
And Peter and I can address those.
Well, I see the soccer field rental was eliminated, is that because of the new fields at the Y?
Yep, the city came to an agreement with the YMCA, part of the deal that we made with the Y. We contributed towards a shared parking lot that is for both the benefit of Y patrons as well as benefit of soccer field patrons, the city soccer field patrons. And as part of that, they eliminated the $22,000 a year lease agreement that we had for those front fields along Orange Avenue, so.
Great. Everything else looks flat. Any questions?
The regional planning agency dues, what's involved in that?
Where are you?
I'm sorry, 4875.
Oh, those are for SCROG. We're a member of the South Central Regional Council of Governments. It is the 15 towns that distribute things like our transportation money. I was the chairman of that organization until last year. There's several million dollars a year that are of transportation money that's distributed through our Council of Governments, and we're in the South Central Council of Governments. There's other grants and other items that happen through COGS too. I mean, most states have county governments. Connecticut does not, so the economic development and other county government type functions are thrust upon these COGS.
Okay. I don't have much in that area.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks.
Golf course, 40121, page 112. Evening.
My name is Dan Moore, I'm a golf commissioner for the city of Milford Golf Course. Dick Lawson couldn't make it tonight, he had some tests done today, so
A little more rest.
I will. Golf course is in its 20 years of operation. It's in great condition. We always try to keep it up, so that's good playing condition and also good maintenance as far as the buildings and stuff go. The budget is pretty similar. It's an enterprise fund. It's pretty similar to the last budget. However, we took $2,000 out of the maintenance and replacement and put it into water service.
Oh, yeah. The replacement fund, do we have the amount of that? Is there funds in the replacement fund? Do we have a
The
balance in
overall?
that?
Related to the golf course?
Yeah.
The maintenance replacement from the golf course has been depleted based on the various allocation transfers that we've done over the past several years for the golf maintenance building and some other projects.
We have maintenance building. We also did cleaned up, we did the roof. We also did the back room where we used to have maintenance vehicles in there, but we had to clean it up. We had oil, gasoline, etc. So we had to take care of that. Purchase of 2 additional golf carts we did over the past couple of years.
So we have a zero amount in that account?
Close to zero. It's
Yeah.
been nearly depleted. We do have some money left in fund balance,
Right.
but it's also, it's less than 100,000. I think it's
Okay.
about, somewhere between 50 and 70,000.
So an emergency came up, where do you get the funds in? From the
Yeah,
We keep tapping into the fund balance.
fund balance, okay.
Fund 18 or finding what is the open space, maintaining open space.
Mhm. Okay, I'm done with that.
Okay, no further questions?
Thanks, I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Borough of Woodmont, 4811.
Hi,
How are you?
Good. Myself tonight, Kip Schmeiser is taking his Douglas. I think you probably have, the DR, sorry, you could just share that one. My DR1, we're looking for basically the same amount as last year. We're asking for $5,000, basically for a study for those photos that you see on the next pages, which is the Belmont Street drawing. It was built, designed by John Casey, built in 1978, and it's done a very good job of providing outflow, and fishermen also love to use it. But the last few years, it has really been suffering. I've tried putting some of these diamond plate, you'll see on this black and white picture. We've tried putting these diamond plates over them. They last literally a couple of months. It's one of the black and white photos. They last a couple of months, and then Mother Nature just rips them off. I talked to Chris Saley, and I went down there and walked it. It is the largest drainage groin. We've replaced all of the drainage groins in the borough. This is the last one. I've been talking about it, but we need to start looking at what we're gonna do with it, whether it be repair it, cut the end of it off and haul it out. But the problem is that even at low tide, the water is up around it. So what's the term you use, Chris, when you have to bat around it or something like that? You have to, the Belmont Street groin.
No, I know what you're talking about, I'm in the middle of an email,
Oh,
I wasn't
sorry.
paying attention, I'm sorry.
At any rate, somehow we have to put something around it to pump the water out before anything can be done with it. And it's something down the road that we need to think about. We were fortunate last year, moving along to the regular contract and the regular items that we do in the borough. We were fortunate last year with the snow. Right now, we're looking good. We'll see how bad we get hit tonight and tomorrow. But last year was the first time in 5 years that we did not go over our snow budget. So we were able to pick up on a lot of things that we hadn't been able to do in a number of years. So also, I think there was a question about contractors. I have a copy of the latest contract here that I'll leave with you guys. That's the Public Works contract for Jimmy Malico. Still Jimmy Malico. You take a look at what he provides, the price that he provides it for. And I check everything with the city. Our base rate is $125 for a man in a truck. Our extra work hours, over 200 hours of plowing, is only 180. And I think you'll see that we do it considerably less than what the city pays in their contracts. And I've confirmed that with Chris. Even with the increase that we gave them last year, we're still considerably less. And that contract will detail all of the items that he does. In addition to that, we also have, these are other contractors that we use for various projects. So it's not just Malico, but Malico, you know, he's a member of the community. He bought a house in Woodmont a few years ago. There's a lot of stuff that he does which is above and beyond the call of duty. He fronted us money during some of the storm events in terms of, with Irene and, not with Irene, you guys helped us out with the bond, with Sandy, when we were having problems getting the money in from FEMA. He went 6 months without getting paid in some cases, and never an interest charge, never a late charge or anything like that, or any of the extra work that he did.
Is your borough hall up and running?
Our Borough Hall is up and running. Charlie was there a couple of weeks ago, we're just waiting for the paperwork to show up. So we're happy about that. We sold our old Borough Hall. We used that funds to buy the new barn that we built in back, which now we're able to put Malaco's largest piece of snow removal equipment in there. We keep that there. We keep the Borough Patrol car, which really does augment the city police. Last year, we did 54 assists, which means that borough car that we pay for, that we pay the Milford police officer to man or operate, has been, last year, 54 times outside of the borough helping out. The chief loves it because it basically augments his patrols without costing him anything. So it's a pretty good relationship, along with the public works. We're pretty happy with the way the situation is working. And I work for $1 a year.
Well, thank you for that. Any questions?
His contract, Nalco's contract is how much? Do we have a,
$54,000, which includes everything that you'll see on the list. It's $54,000, and that includes all of the snow plowing up to 200 hours, salt, storm cleanup, benches, all the basic stuff that you would do, and it's all listed there. I forgot exactly which section it's in. It's in 3.19 or something like that, but it's all listed there. You can't do it for the same, you really couldn't do it.
Listen, you get good pricing for your snow bond. Just so you know.
I checked with him.
Our
I checked with him.
price for our contractors is $205 an hour, and they're paying $120 on the preferred rate, which is kind of an insurance policy, and then $180 after they go over that $200.
we're paying more?
We are paying more.
Why don't we get Nalco then?
He's a one-man operation.
There's something missing here. Okay,
Thank you.
Okay?
All right.
Thank
very
you.
good, thank you.
I heard the mayor, I heard the governor, as literally as I was eating dinner on the way out here. He said he wants Greenwich, Darien, and those cities to help out Bridgeport. So,
That has not changed.
And the issue is Milford is putting more in the bill than anyone else. And we are a town that's very working class, very blue collar, a town that has 32.7% of our population is low to moderate income. So we're getting disproportionately affected.
Do we take him to court on that?
We're gonna do everything we can.
What do you mean, no?
Chief Vito, Fire Department. We could, yeah. Sign a piece of paper, it's done.
That's what I'm looking for.
That's right. 4320.
Okay. Can you touch it for?
The count is too low, yours is
I
too
don't even know how
high.
to get it.
It's a switch.
Well, thanks for inviting us, Chief Doug Eno. I brought tonight the town chief, Anthony DeBreeze, he's logistics and he does finance, so he does a lot of our purchasing, so. Just wants to go through the.
Thanks for coming out. Is there anything you'd like to
I
highlight?
have, I can highlight a couple of things, I have no opening statements or anything. We're charged with the flat budget, as we've done in the past, and, we're up for the challenge, we like to do it, I could say, and it's been working out. So this, all these and the next couple ones we do are pretty much all flat budgets. You'll see in the wages, there's a slight increase. My only concern is in the wages and the vacation and the leave, that the 2.5%, whatever, it's really not in there for the pay raises that the fire union's getting. So it's tight this year. We'll be at zero, probably June. I just worry about next year at this time where we're gonna be in regards to that. We're just showing a $32,000 increase from last year's budget to this year's budget on regular
In
wages.
which area you say?
Regular wages,
Oh, yeah.
right on the top.
Mhm.
As I said, the rest of the package is flat. And that's only my concern. There's a slight increase in holiday pay. There's 13 holidays that we have to pay out. And that was historically low, but we got some additional monies there. Yeah, that's another concern. And Peter does the math much better than me, because I know there are retirements. So as those senior people leave at the top pay scale, we're filling in with the lower pay scale, so it may balance out. My only other comment here in the capital outlay, I think there was a mistake in there here. We've done this before, yes, we've done this in the past, where we switched money from the EMS account and put it into the life packs. So we took 36,000, I believe, to add to last year's 4,000, to give us the 40,000. That one that's left over in EMS, I think that needs to be 1,000, not $1. I think we made a mistake. Am I right?
When is that?
Which one?
Line 49, page 53.
Okay.
The EMS equipment?
EMS equipment,
EMS equipment?
351.
Oh,
we
yeah.
got 37 last year, and we took 36
Oh,
for the
wow.
life pack, so there's about,
Well, keep talking, because I'm gonna check. That may be correct, and we were anticipating just leaving $1 in
we were gonna leave it $1?
Yeah.
I
So,
transfer,
okay,
yeah.
I was,
Oh, you're saying you don't need it, is that?
no, I was under the impression that $1,000 was staying there, not $1.
Oh, not $1.
I didn't, did we agree to close that
I can
account?
check that while you continue. I have the original.
That's all I have.
Have you experienced any savings now that you have the new stations up and running? Because you closed all the old stations. Are they less expensive to operate or
Well,
about the same?
we were talking surprisingly, they're about the same.
Yeah.
We did have some issues at the news station that we're still dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
And we have not resolved it yet. I don't know if we can talk
Do you have a
about it.
certificate of occupancy?
Well, I don't think we want to get into specific. I was talking more about operational electricity, heating, that type of stuff.
No, we're not seeing that. In fact, we participated a little bit on the utilities to go up in this budget. But we could be surprised, it's not just a cushion.
Right.
The gas is down, in fact, we did try to put some money into the fuel accounts, but it was at a long time low.
Mm.
So I just checked, based on what I wrote from the mayor's budget hearings, I did write $1, but we could certainly bring that up for discussion later.
And my recollection was, one of the rationales or bases for that was that we do have that reserve account that we target for EMS equipment, EMS operations.
Okay.
So some of that equipment, EMS equipment could be purchased through that reserve account.
I probably don't remember that. I just saw the number, I said, "Eh, that doesn't work."
It's good to me.
Yeah.
Now, how many trucks are we dealing with now, emergency? We don't have the ambulance service anymore, we're using our own equipment.
So we have licenses, I should let the chief answer, but we have
Yeah.
licenses for 3. We generally have 2 operational. We actually just took receipt of a brand-new rescue truck that we got through, more than half of it was funded through a CDBG grant, a Community Development Block Grant, and much more than half, the majority of it was funded through that grant. But in addition to that, we have put out to bid and have Nelson Ambulance, sometimes you see Access Ambulance as our backup or reserve, and the Milford Milford paramedics and EMTs handle most of the ALS calls, Advanced Life Support calls, Priority 1 calls, and BLS calls, Basic Life Support. You know, if you get like a cut or a bruise or a broken ankle, those are handled by the backup, which is Access or Nelson. So it's about 50-50, Chief. I think Milford does a little bit more than 50% of the calls.
Well, I see on the revenue side, we're projecting revenue of $650,000 from EMS response, paramedics.
Yes.
So that's a significant increase over last year.
Yeah, it is. It's projection, we're hoping it'll go above that.
Okay, where's the,
So that program's been pretty successful on billing.
To date, yes, and we just started in October 17th.
Good.
Thrown right at us, and the state said, okay, go.
They've been doing a great job. I mean, the compliments that we've been getting, faster response times, I mean, the response times in some cases have been cut, you know, by minutes and tens of minutes, which is huge, especially for cardiac patients and cardiac issues, when every second counts, so.
Patient cares,
Yeah.
it's just.
So while we do generate additional revenue, and that's huge, especially in years where that's critical, what's also as important for this is the fact that it's a better service for people who need it in town, you know, the patients, people who need to get to the hospital quicker. The fact that we have all these ambulances in town, whereas we had issues in the past, that's a big plus. It's life-saving, life-changing.
Good, glad to hear it. Keep up the good work.
where is the cost for Nelson in the budget here? Anywhere? Nowhere.
We don't,
It's, but they're billed right out,
for those calls that they take, they bill.
right?
If we perform the ALS services, if a paramedic stabilizes the patient and there's an EMS intercept, an ALS intercept, there's a bundle billing agreement that we have so that Access or Nelson Ambulance will bill and they'll give us a proportion for the services that we render.
Okay. Is there any kickback from the Medicare or any of those people on this?
So there's a Medicare rate that we charge for our ALS calls when we bill.
Right.
We charge the Medicare rate, which is less than less than normal, but
Right.
we get the Medicare rate.
Okay. Just one question on overtime. Like, the battalion chiefs, the captains, lieutenants, do they get overtime?
They do.
They do?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a vacancy and somebody fills that spot, whatever the rent is, if they go overtime. Having said that, though, our overtime is not time and a half, it's paid for hours work.
I often question whether we should have another employee rather than to cut the overtime down. Was that ever figured out?
Well, I think if you're paying the same wage, it's almost, maybe who's filling the position.
There are times where it's not straight time because of the Garcia decision, but most of the time it's straight time.
For overtime?
Most of the time for fire, it's unique to their contract. The vast majority of the time, for fire overtime, it's straight time.
That's exactly right, okay. I'm all set there. Okay. Oh, one other item was a terminal leave pay. We have 0 projected for the end of the year. And we have it back in there for this year. That's 4206.
I would believe Peter can answer that best.
Yeah.
It's a
I imagine, I imagine we may have initially put 0 there because it's an unknown, it depends on retirements. But, more often than not over the years, there have been, the majority of the years, there have been retirements. So we did have to spend in that line item for retirements.
Okay.
But if there are no retirements, then I believe we could safely project 0, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, How many vacancies do you have, any?
We just hired, the last 4, we hired 9 this fiscal year, and so we have no
Oh,
vacancies,
vacancies, okay.
fully staffed. But again, to Brian's point, they're in school, so the bodies that are in school are not on the trucks, and we're paying overtime for the people to fill those spots.
Mhm, okay.
In that regard, as well.
All right.
We're good. Since you're here, I think you sometimes deal with civil preparedness, 4331.
58.
Maybe?
Yeah, that's, we changed it to emergency management.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sorry, and we left it exactly the same. Correct.
And then historically, CMed, 4805, that's per capita, right? I think that's capital one.
Yeah. That's our dispatch, patching for the hospitals. And again, was it last year, Mayor, or last year, 2 years ago, we moved out of the southwest, when that dissolved,
Yeah,
and we went to Bridgeport. This is the Bridgeport. Doing the same function.
Right.
That's actually a little bit, it's much cheaper than it was in the past.
And then,
now when you say Bridgeport, you don't deal with New Haven then? How's this work?
Well, New Haven had it, and it was actually the scribe that the mayor had mentioned that the government, that they actually run CMAT, or they were in charge of CMAT, but it was dissolving. And it was in the dispatch center in New Haven, and now this one that does the southwest section of the state is in Bridgeport. It's at Bridgeport Hospital comes there.
We're saving about 30% from what we used to pay.
Mm.
So it's a much better arrangement that we have now.
better service, right?
Yes.
And then lighting hydrants and water, which this falls under your 4360.
Yeah, every year, I say it's just the paying bills.
Right.
It's no control over it.
Mr. Mayor, I thought, and I may be mistaken, but I thought at some point the city might be having discussions with the water authority about the rate. Is that?
It's been my cause celeb.
Cost 11, right?
We've been doing that for a number of years.
The Regional Water Authority, they have formed a subcommittee to study the issue, which is really, they patted me on the head, but I've testified in front of their board. I have raised the issue many times with their executive director and their executive staff. It's been an issue and a subject that I've brought up almost every opportunity that I have. At our last SCROG meeting, there was a presentation by the Regional Water Authority. I brought it up there. It was all over the newspapers. It's one of those issues that, again, Milford is disproportionately affected because we do have a lot of hydrants. We have 1,400 hydrants in the city of Milford, and we have a big fire service bill. And in a lot of different regions of the state of Connecticut and across the country, they don't charge. There's a decision made by the Regional Water Authority, or the Water Authority of that particular area, that they don't charge for water service for fire hydrants because it's a public safety issue. For example, NBC, which is the water authority up by Hartford, they charge $0 for their water service. And so I'm advocating to adopt that similar concept or similar paradigm for our RWA. It hasn't been successful yet, but at least to kind of close the gap, because we're spending
Almost
$1 million, and it's increasing at a rate of like 8% a year. So that's the one utility issue that we have not been able to push back on. We've pushed back on our UI rates, we've pushed back on a lot of the other gas, a lot of the other utilities that we've had high costs, we've been able to kind of walk those back. This one is still outstanding, and we're continuing to advocate against it.
Well, good luck.
That's a good 1 million against 17 million, yeah,
It would help.
Yeah.
really would help. All right.
Well, if there's no further questions,
Questions, we're done.
thank you for coming out.
Thanks.
Okay.
Oh, no, you'll be busy.
Good, so
No, you'll be busy.
we have a lot.
You hear, oh,
Wow, okay.
Oh,
Just, I didn't want you to sit here all night before Chris, because he has a tendency to monopolize our
oh,
agenda.
I'm not gonna talk.
oh, yeah, right.
We'll let you guys ask the questions.
Sure.
Okay, Public Works 4420.
Okay. 63, 65, 69, 72, 74, 76. That was done.
Okay, I'm here before you to present our budget. It's a 0% increase.
That's,
Thank you.
okay.
0% increase. Have you any questions? Promise not to talk.
If you do notice, the one area that we have some position reductions for the whole city is really in the solid waste division for Public Works. I know that you're still looking at the Public Works office, but
Right.
as we go through the different divisions, this is something that we've talked about over the course of the last 2 years as we've rolled out the automated garbage collection system. One of the benefits is that it does save money because it's a different system. It's safer for our city employees, but instead of having 3 or 4 employees on a truck, we're gonna get to the point where we can have 1 employee on a truck. At this point, and for the next several months, we're still gonna have 2 as we train not only our employees to operate these new pieces of equipment, but also educate our residents about, what they need to do to, properly put the toter at the curb, making sure that there's 4 feet of space between it and other objects or it and the other toter. There's an educational component that we anticipated, and the second person on the truck is designed to help with that education, either putting a tag on the toter or talking to the resident and giving recommendations and suggestions, as well as being another set of hands for the vehicle operator.
Yeah, I was looking at that coming out of town. It's somebody right across from the Baptist church there, just at that curve. They have no place to put the totals.
There's a few tight spots.
Yeah, it's just sitting on a hill like, And I said, well, how far up can that total run?
They go 12 feet.
Oh, they
It's
could
a nice reach. It's a great piece of equipment. I
Yeah.
was just talking to one of the employees downstairs coming in. He's like, "Hey, I love the truck, but I'm a little worried about tomorrow, so.
Yeah.
We're starting early tomorrow, a little early on the trash tomorrow morning,
Oh, yeah.
so.
Oh, that's right, starting at midnight tonight, right?
Actually, some towns are starting at midnight.
No, I mean the,
No, it's not gonna, it's gonna start about 6. That's why I've been looking at the forecast.
all right. Yeah, that's a big
Promise not to talk.
You'll be busy, you'll be up all night,
Yeah.
we won't keep you long.
problem.
All right, Public Works,
Okay.
we'll go through it department by department.
Yeah.
And if anybody has any questions, comments, please just jump in, otherwise I'm just gonna keep moving along.
Yeah, just quickly on, I'll go to Highway and Parks, 4215.
Yes.
That road and drain maintenance. You know,
65.
yeah, we're going to projected to 80,000. And now it's coming back in to improve, maybe recommended 30. What does that hold?
Like I spoke to the alderman, the town, it helps do maintenance on the roads. Some of it's been deferred maintenance, that in my opinion was not a good investment. We have to invest in the infrastructure, that's why I asked for more. Obviously the mayor, because of the constraints with what's going on at Harvard, everything settled on that, and that's what we agreed to.
Now, we bonded for a lot of some of this
Yes, yes, you
stuff,
did.
right?
That's part of it also, yes.
So do we need it in this account, or is it under the bonding dollars?
As I've said many times, I believe that the more money you put into the paving and the
Yeah.
road infrastructure is critical. And I think to have that, this is a little bit different because it's not necessarily VIP pricing paving. It could be drainage work that our guys are doing by catch basins and pipe. Some of the pipes are 60 years old, and we started to do some of that work in-house and with contractors.
But just at the bottom of my street, you replaced 3 or 4 storm drains at
There's
West
an
River.
example, yeah. And we're gonna be dredging those ponds shortly, I believe, so, yeah.
Just a matter of information on the budgeting and how we account for this money. Now, say we put $1 million bond out for all this road work, paving and everything. Where do those figures, when they spend that money to do the work and everything, that doesn't appear in this area?
It does to some extent. I will only borrow what we spend. So, once they spend, we issue the bonds to pay off those expenditures or the cash advances that we gave to temporarily loan to fund those expenditures. And then the principal and interest payments over 20 years are reflected under the debt service cost in this budget.
Actually, none of the actual work appears in this area.
Correct, the actual work
Because
appears
under the
in
bond account.
the Fund 40 or the sewer, sanitary sewer fund, Fund 26. Or there's other fund also, we have 3 separate funds for these bonded projects. We have a fund set up for the schools, for the sanitary sewers, and for public works and other city capital projects.
We have a policy that's been a long-time policy for the city of Milford for our debt service, that our debt service should not exceed 10% of our overall budget. That's the best practice number. That's something that's recommended by, the GFOA, the Government Finance Administrators Officers Association. It's recommended by a lot of the other oversight financial folks, but ours is actually only at 6%, not the 10%, even though that's our policy. So our real debt service has been pretty steady at about 6% for several years, many years now.
That's under our public debt service.
That's for our public debt service. That's been a longstanding policy of the city. It's been an administrative policy that has appeared in the CAFR and the official statements. But actually, earlier this week, the Board of Aldermen formally adopted it as a legislative policy as well as other financial policies. We can get you a copy of those policies that were recently legislatively approved to give us a better in with our bond rating agencies so that we can maintain the AAA bond rating.
Oh. That takes care of that area.
Quick question on the dump truck sander plow. Is that something we anticipate to be in a bond in the future, or is it?
Usually vehicles, it depends. Oftentimes vehicles, we fund those through our vehicle acquisition program. If it's a very, very large piece of equipment, like a fire truck, we'll sometimes bond those. But generally,
Well, this is page 66, and it's approximately, it's an expensive piece of equipment, 300,000 plus.
Yeah.
Is that something that, I typically wouldn't expect that to be budgeted.
we have in the past, but we, at this point, we're recommending not to, and that we would put it under our vehicle acquisition program. Depending on how we are at the end of the year, we will see what we can fund out of the vehicle acquisition program. We have a 5-year plan for our apparatus and our vehicles and our larger pieces of equipment, even our, big skag mowers are under that plan. But this we took out and, we'll try to fund it through some other sources. There's other sources that we have. We funded it through grant money in the past. We funded it, actually, I think we just purchased one of these through grant money very recently. Town Aid Road money.
So just to let you know, that 380 isn't one truck, it's 2.
Okay.
And to give you an example, our average age of our truck is 2. The average age of our trucks right now are 2002. not a good
Oh.
idea. It's a very, I mean, we really, average towns in the area are probably 2010, 2011, their average age of their fleet. We have trucks that are
We have a
1995,
big fleet.
21 trucks, so.
That's including the small trucks, everything?
No, that's the mainline trucks, that what we call the six-wheelers. The
Carry-
CDL required.
Yeah, yeah, CDL for them.
CDL.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
The area highway parks,
North
no.
Highway Parks, building maintenance.
Not in that area. Well, you get away with murder.
What's that?
You get away with murder.
Keep it quiet.
Basic, I have nothing in that area.
Engineering, you can go back if you want to. Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, custodian, nights a day, it doesn't matter, they get the same pay.
They get a differential according to the contract. I believe it's 50 cents, might be 30 cents an hour more, but don't hold me to one or the other. We just negotiated that contract.
Okay, so,
So the night custodian gets a little bit more.
I'll be budgeted the same amount of money.
It's in another line item, it's under shift differential on the previous page, so.
Is it 50 or 30 cents?
I'm afraid I don't recall.
I should remember. I knew I was gonna get
You're
caught up on
close,
one
yeah,
question.
you're-
I should know it.
69. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
missing.
page 69. Shift differential.
Mine's stuck,
There we go.
it's loaded. Let me see.
6800.
Oh, yeah, 6,800, okay. Very good. That was a curiosity.
Engineering,
Engineering.
I'm losing, did we hire a city engineer?
Hired him yet, and he's been out with us almost a year.
No, more than that.
More than that?
No,
I lose track.
time goes by so
I know
quickly.
it does.
Yeah,
Okay, well, we have a city engineer.
No,
Okay.
yeah, no, we have a city engineer.
All right. We shifted a couple of these positions around a couple of years ago, too, didn't we?
Yes,
Engineering
we
department?
consolidated two positions into one.
General garage. Page 74.
Oh, that was one item, 4978, capital outlay. Maintenance equipment, what was that? It was 0,000, now it's 10,000. 4978000.
Page 74.
I'm sorry, 70.
No, I'm looking at the 79, the brake lathe? What it
No,
just?
right above it, the
Oh, maintenance equipment?
equipment, yeah. We had nothing for that area for years.
I believe that's gonna be part of our GPS. Let me take a look at that.
Yes,
Where
you're
is it?
correct, Chris, it's for the GPS
That's what-
subscription.
Okay.
GPS?
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter.
And as background, I think it's my understanding that the first half of the year is covered under the initial outlay. They gave us a year's subscription for free. But year two, which is the second half of the fiscal year, there'll be a cost. So this is the cost of half of a year's subscription. And there's about 200 trucks that we're trying to get wired for GPS.
How many?
Vehicles, not
Vehicles.
trucks.
Yeah, right.
Vehicles,
Yeah.
total vehicles.
Is that all city vehicles, is that what we're saying? or-
Not all city vehicles, but the majority of the public works fleet eventually.
Our goal is to get every vehicle that's the priority to get it on GPS. It's very helpful, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Solid waste? Page
If I could just go back,
Yeah, go.
just 4335, which is equipment supply and upkeep, is definitely an account that we struggle with every year. And we're going to struggle again this year. This will be the age of the fleet and just repairs.
We increased that a couple of years ago, didn't we? Significantly?
Significantly.
It all depends what the definition
For
of significant is, but
I
as
thought
you
we,
can see.
maybe not enough, but we did, I remember it did go up.
Just giving you, like
Yeah.
I said, a
Yeah.
little background.
All right.
Solid waste. 4431, page 76. And this is, as the mayor pointed out, there's several positions that are no longer needed.
3 positions will be positions.
2 last year and 3 this year.
I'm sorry,
2 positions last year were reduced and 3 this year, so
it's 5 to good. So,
5 so far.
how many vacancies do we have right now?
In solid waste, I believe we have 4.
4.
And I'm pushing hard for the mayor to fill one position for a number of reasons. Number one, it changes the new employee wouldn't be on the incentive program, work Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, as opposed to what the contract presently wants for our present employees. And it would be a good transition for new employees to come in, I believe. So I'm working with the mayor.
Mhm. Now, this one I just want to look at. The truck driver laborer, 760. What are we-
Yeah, so that's the other thing, I'm glad you brought it up, and I should explain that. The contract now states that everyone has to be a truck driver laborer, so there's gonna be no just laboring positions, so they'll all be bumped up.
Okay. Under 70/50, 70/60. 16-17 budget, it lists the salary, Peter's probably the one who's gonna have to help me on this one. Truck driver laborer under the last budget that the Board of Aldermen approved. The labor was 48,402. Okay, now, in our book now for the 16-17, it lists the 716 as 5607. What is that?
That it reflects the contractual wage increase that went into effect once the contract settled.
Okay, so-
It goes retroactively, so that's why I had to increase that amount in the book this year.
Okay, subsequent to the Board of Aldermen's approval, we got an increase in the salary, so you say?
Subsequent to the Board of Alder's approval, the contract settled, and there were retroactive wage increases, which we did budget for through the
Yeah,
Board of
that's
Alder,
under
through
the-
the benefit salary reserve, and we
Right,
do
the reserve,
transfers into wages, as you recall, through the Board of Finance.
okay. Now, the one we're budgeting here, now the 51,876, will that be the,
Yes, that reflects the new union contract.
Yeah,
So
it was a
we
2
won't
and a quarter,
see-
2 and a quarter raise from last year, 2 and a quarter raise from this year.
Okay.
That's what you'll see there.
all right. Well, that's right, we lost the 2 there, okay. And we're going down 3 here. So we only have 2 laborers, is that what, 3 laborers, oh, we got a laborer off.
I don't think there's any labor.
There'll be no laborers.
They're all truck
Oh, they're
drivers.
zeroed out, okay, that's right, okay. Now, that's a higher wage level
Yes.
for the truck driver laborer,
Yes.
okay. Answered the question.
Thank you, Ms. Fitzpatrick.
Okay,
By default, wastewater, I know that's
Me.
that's you, okay. That's page 101. My favorite topic.
yeah.
And what are we doing for nitrogen credit?
Yeah.
Big
I
change.
knew that would be a big ticket for you guys, so just to let you know, the state hasn't finalized. Last year, we received approximately $152,000 in nitrogen credits, as opposed to the year before, where we paid $30,000 between the two plants.
Right.
This year, we're on pace to do, we believe, we don't know for sure, $100,000. We actually increased the nitrogen removal, but the state cut credit in half. So it's very challenging because there's a lot of expensive equipment to monitor the oxygen levels in the effluent, and other components of this. So the state's kind of being penny wise and pound foolish. They should incentivize municipalities. It's good for the environment, it's good for the water. So it is a little frustrating, but that's the number we believe. We don't have it for sure, but we believe it's gonna be right around $100,000.
As long as we don't have to pay, that's the big thing.
That I can pretty much guarantee.
No, I want the revenue.
Well, it's nice to get the revenue, but it's
Yeah, we need the
it's worse
revenue.
than when you have to pay for it.
That's wastewater, right?
Good, well, that's good work, thank you.
That's Ed Kozlowski and his team, they've done a tremendous job.
Yeah.
And I mean, just again, so that people understand the amount of water that they treat every day. The Beaverbrook plant is right around $2 million gallons a day, and the Housatonic is between 7 and 8. So it's a lot of water,
Yeah.
a lot of pump stations, a lot of miles. They do a great job.
Can that water be used anywhere?
You can actually drink it if you like.
Yeah, I know, I went down there years ago when
It goes
they
right,
had the fish in the tank and all that
it goes
stuff.
right into the Housatonic.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
Cleaning the
Regional
pond.
Water Authority don't wanna buy it?
You use it in
We'll
our
make a
hydrants.
big pond for them.
It's actually pretty clean.
Yeah, I know it. Okay. So, we're done with all of yours.
We're good?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much, I
Sewer
appreciate it.
commission is just, pass through basically, right?
Yes,
So,
Exactly.
to the law department, thank you, good luck tonight, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, get to sleep.
You got my message?
Just now.
I'll see everybody, good luck.
All right.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
Brian.
Thank you.
4503, public debt service.
78. Okay.
Assume we're not anticipating any bond refunding this year?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why there is that jump, and it's listed in my budget message too. The increase is attributable to the fact that our debt service really hasn't gone up, but the last year was padded by the fact that we had bond refunded money that, you know, there was a one-time reduction in our, actually, either a one-time or a two-year reduction in our debt service for those 2 years.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, thank you,
So-
Peter, well, it was
This is your.
still good work, but it lasted.
This is our 6%. Is this with the,
Well, there's this account and there's school debts.
Oh, the school debt service.
Later on too.
Yeah, that's
So
next.
the combination.
49.94.
Combination and our, yes,
yeah,
and our water, the clean water funds payments as well.
Yes.
School debt services page
Oh, actually, the clean water funds are here.
93.
93, right? Yeah, school debt, page 93.
Yeah, the clean water payments are here, and we also share the costs with the sewer fund, Fund 12. There's another portion that's charged to the sewer fund.
Oh, okay.
And on page 94, 93 as well, employee benefits non-teaching, 4995.
Just a second, I'm sorry, Brian, just a second. On the, if the governor goes through for the pension aspect, where are we gonna show that? Where will that go under? We'll have to set a new account for that.
We'd have to set up a new account under the expenditure side.
Are we not going to employee benefit?
I guess it may, we may be able to put it into an existing fund, but
Oh, I'd like to
it's
separate.
something we don't want to have to think about.
I know. I'd like to separate one if we do it.
No, I would imagine be separate.
Okay.
It's a new line
Yeah.
item, potentially.
City employees, they pay their own, they pay into the pensions too?
Yes,
They do. Is that negotiated amount?
it's, yeah, every contract is negotiated, not every contract, there's a separate pension contract that's negotiated, but yes.
Is the school teachers about the same amount of percentages, do you know?
Even within the different unions, it differs.
That's right.
Again, don't hold me to this, because I don't know what the teachers is, but I believe it's about is this 6% contribution of their pay, Peter? Approximately.
See if I can find it here.
Hmm.
It's in our cap.
Okay.
But again, part of the issue is that whereas on the city side, we are, 95, almost 100% fully funded,
Mhm.
our annual contributions are less because of the long 30, 40-year history that we've had. The state's not as in a good
That's
financial
right.
position. So now that they're in this deteriorated financial position, they're asking us to kind of help bail them out.
Oh, so yeah, we're only participating in it. That's what they want us to do.
And subject to any subsequent changes that were made by the state, it was effective going back to 1992, 6% of salary.
Mhm. Okay.
Employee benefits, general 4710, page 84. The, page 84, you see the contribution of the police, fire, general's gone up quite a bit, so we're expecting a higher pension contribution this year.
That reflects a 15% increase over last year.
The debt service, the pension contributions, the high deductible excess coverage for healthcare, those are three of the big cost drivers for this budget. Where it's gonna be increased more than normal. The excess coverage, the stopgap coverage that we have for our health insurance, we pay a separate premium for claims over $100,000.
Oh, yeah,
For the
right.
first $100,000, we're self-insured. For those really high claims, we are not self-insured for that excess coverage.
Who insures that?
And that premium went up significantly, about 35%. It actually started at 50%. Peter met with them, and our consultant met with them. They brought it down to 40%. I met with the head of Anthem for the state of Connecticut with Peter and our consultant. They went down more, but at this point, it's still a 35% increase from last year, which is significant.
Was our
A one-year
experience
jump.
that bad?
What?
Was our experience that bad?
We had bad experience, not just this year, but for the last several years,
Oh,
where they've lost money on the city of Milford. Anthem has lost significant money on the city of Milford, going back probably 5 years.
Yes.
Each year for 5 years.
Well, going back to the pension for a second, on 84, I mean, do we expect this trend to continue? Because it's really gone up pretty much $500,000 a year over the last 3 years.
Yeah, we are trying in essence to smooth the increase, to soften the blow to the budget, if you will, and so we have the policy that the mayor mentioned that was adopted by the Board of Aldermen, our pension funding policy, we've had an administrative practice the past several years to cap it at 15%.
And one of the other things is we actually lowered our rate of return, which from an actuarial standpoint increased our pension, even though, it was an artificial drop that we
Right.
did because it was, a good thing to do, a best practice, so, and we weren't making that target for many years. Our fund managers were not making that target, so we lowered it. And so our ARC, our annual required contribution, or now it's called an ADECT, went up. And the other thing that we're doing to try to limit our liabilities, though, is we have adjusted a lot of our very rich pension agreements. So hopefully those numbers are gonna come down, that annual required contribution is gonna come down as we have some folks fall off. For example, on police and fire, it used to be based, their pensions used to be based on their total compensation package, overtime, as well as their regular wage. So now it's just based on their regular wage. So, in some cases, it cuts their potential pension benefits by 50%.
So
And
this,
there's other tweaks and adjustments that we've made to limit the liabilities for our pension.
well, it's prudent to fund it, obviously, but I just think, so this trend could continue at least for the foreseeable future, but hopefully.
Yes, and especially since also the rate of return on the fund, because of the performance of the markets. It hasn't been as great as it was, and it continues to struggle for many pension funds, not just ours. And that also has an upward pressure on the ADIC or ARC, as the mayor mentioned.
I have another item, is that State Survivors Fund. You probably explain it every year, but again,
The State Survivors Fund is for police and fire. That's an existing state fund that the city has to pay into. It has gone up, several years ago, we had to increase this budget because the surplus or fund balance in the state's fund was depleted, so the state said, okay, we're gonna have to ask cities and towns now to contribute an ARC, a certain percentage, and so we had that accounted for a higher, an increase rather in this line item. But this goes back many years, of course, and it's for police and fire, and it's the fund is administered by the state.
what is the police, what do they get out of this? What is this for the-
Yeah, I believe they get payments when, sadly, when a police or fire passes away, then his or her family can possibly get a benefit, a payment from this.
Are they talking about us doing the whole funding on this now?
It's one of those contractual benefits that we have. I think we do actually, the entire funding. This is not supplemented by the state, at least to my understanding. It's supplemented by the different municipalities that buy in for this additional benefit, even though it's administered by the state. Is that fair?
That's fair, that's
Yeah.
correct. The city is actually funding pretty much 100%. We used to just fund the employee portion, if you will, but now the state has asked for an ARC or a contribution to the fund itself. And I just quote unquote call that like the employer contribution.
So they give us the figure? Or
No, it's actually a percentage of the salary. So on a monthly basis, on a
Oh,
periodic
okay.
basis, we have to provide salary information to the state. It's a certain percentage. They charge also an administrative fee, which we pay. And then this percentage of the ARC, which was roughly somewhere a little over 1%.
Okay.
Okay. We'll go back if we want, 4720, page 85, insurance and bonds, and also 4740, claims and refunds.
These are the hypertension, I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah, claims and refunds.
4840, is that actually figured, or is this actual money we're paying now?
We actually sometimes have to pay out more, as you can see from what was expensed in 15-16. So we try to fund as much as we can, but, you know, we've been trying to keep it at 625 for a number of years.
And where's this sit?
See, we spent $731,034.15 on the leftmost column under historical data. So we do look at the claims, we look at the claims runs, we work with our risk manager, our city accountant, myself, and we look also at the outstanding claims that could settle in the future. And we do our best to at minimum substantiate the 625. In many cases, we probably could use more, but we're trying to be sensitive to the general fund budget.
The people covered under this are going down. The number of people that will be covered by it, isn't it going down?
Yes, I believe the mayor in the past has spoken to this, but you have to also keep in mind that the people who are still living and with their life expectancy, we're also paying, I believe, on pharmacy and some other medical claims. And there was a recent ruling that happened a little while back regarding overtime, I'm not sure.
You had to be a police or fire on the job prior to October 1st, 1996.
Right.
So anyone hired after October 1st, 1996 is not eligible for this type of benefit. You can, you know, if you have a heart attack that happened during the course and scope of your employment, it was because of your employment. In that case, you'd be eligible under the normal workers' compensation system. This is a separate benefit through the workers' compensation system, where it makes any type of heart or hypertension issue that is contracted by someone who was on the job, you know, prior to 1996, eligible with at least a rebuttable presumption. It's the municipality's burden to prove that, you know, the high blood pressure or heart condition that, you know, an employee, a fire or police employee had was not related to his job, instead of the normal system where it's the duty of, you know, for example, a plaintiff in a civil action, they bear the burden to demonstrate that, you know, their injury was caused by the defendant.
Okay.
It's not, I mean, it's not impossible, but it's a very high burden to overcome.
And what if they have other insurance? Are they looking to it now?
So all these people that are eligible for this through the city of Milford, you know, also have city of Milford insurance. So, you know, we would arguably pay for the medical claims one way or the other.
Yeah, right.
In most cases, the only difference is after they become Medicare eligible, we pay the, you know, we pay their normal medical differential, as opposed to if they are under a heart and hypertension claim and getting medical treatment, then we pay the entire amount. And actually, the fee schedule for workers' comp is actually higher than what we pay for the Anthem rates. So our workers' compensation claims, the medical treatment that folks get under our workers' compensation claims cost us more than if someone got treatment through our regular insurance.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Benefit salaries are 4790, page 86. Unallocated contingency, 4799, page 86.
Spend salary reserve, these are all pending.
Pending contracts.
Education audit, 4993.93, and 4997, educational health insurance contribution. Page number 4.
That's a healthy amount.
Sure is.
Okay, we're done with that.
further, we will adjourn until, or recess until Monday, February 13th, 6:30.